People died in this saloon, and you can still see the bullet holes that were left over. Back in 1915, the Pioneer Saloon in Nevada had only been open for a couple of years before one of the poker games turned deadly. There was a guy called Paul Kowski who was an ex-prize fighter, so he knew how to fight, but at that moment in time, he was an out-of-work miner. Not a very nice guy, kind of a bit of an ass. He was basically not very well liked. And he was dealing cards at the table when someone called Joe Armstrong, who was also playing, called him out for cheating. Obviously, Paul was there. He strongly denied it. Like, I don't know what you're on about, old man. But at that moment, the bartender, who'd also been watching the game, said, no, I saw you cheating. Just split the pot and start it again. Well, Paul wasn't having any of this. And so he actually stood up to try and get the money off the table and walk away. That's not how we do things here. And so Joe actually stood up to try and stop Paul from leaving. A little bit of a scuffle broke out, but Joe, being ex-army and a little bit older, he didn't have time for this. He wasn't going to get into it. And so he just pulled out his revolver, but just smacked Paul around the head with it. It was starting off light so far. That wasn't enough to stop Paul coming at him. And so Joe fired once. Again, Paul got up and started again towards Joe. So Joe fired again. And only then did Paul stay down. Because Joe was a long-term resident of the town and he was really well liked compared to Paul's reputation, plus the fact that there were so many witnesses to what had happened, the whole thing was ruled self-defense and so Joe walked free. But Paul, apparently he never left the Pioneer Saloon because the figure of a man matching his exact description has been seen, usually around the poker table, just watching what's going on. I mean, watching is a little bit of a soft word for what he does. He glares at you. Full on horror movie, intense glaring. But then if you walk over to where he was, trying to initiate a conversation as to, my guy, why are you staring at me like that? He just disappears. But you'll also know that he's around by this overpowering stench of old-fashioned aftershave. But if you visit the Pioneer Saloon now, the poker table, where it all went down, is still there, alongside the bullet holes. But Paul's not the only one said to still be haunting the place. I've done a full video all about the history and the hauntings of the saloon, which you can find over on my channel, and it includes a connection to Hollywood as well. But if you like things like this, I share little stories all of the time, so you should definitely subscribe.